Hey guys, let's talk about last night's episode of the Vampire Diaries. And we had two major storylines going on, and I'll talk about the one that I enjoyed the most first. And that was the one between Stefan and Katherine. And of course, we all know that Stefan has been going through some PTSD after being locked in the coffin and thrown into the water for 3 months. And one of his big hangups was the fact that when he was finally rescued, it wasn't Damon and Elena that were there for him. It was somebody else who then stabbed him and took over his personality. So Caroline decides the best way to get over your PTSD is to stick you in the same coffin and let you deal with it. So as we go through this storyline, blah, 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 it's not working. And then that is when Katherine gets involved. And she decides that she's going to get inside the coffin with Stefan and work it out with him. And they have some really good scenes together when they're in there. And, we all know that Stefan and Katherine were once in love way back in 18 something, 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 when we first arrived in this Vampire Diaries story. And, she's gone through her own transformation this season, seeing as now she's human, and she's really still trying to adjust to that. And we found out that she's pretty much her age is wrapping very quickly because she is been a vampire for all these years, and now her body is changing and she can't deal with it. In last episode, she tried to kill herself and Stefan saved her. So, she selfishly wants to help Stefan out so that ultimately he can help her out. And they have some really good scenes when they're in there. And there's even this moment where it looks like they're going to start kissing, and then Caroline opens up the coffin and, they kind of both look at each other like, did that almost happen? And Caroline's like, okay, so we're all good. And Stefan gets out and he hugs her, and yes, everything is all good. And then we finally get the scene that should have happened in the coffin. And that is that Stefan and Katherine have a huge kiss and they kind of make out. And I'm not mad at it because let's face it, Nina Dobrev has chemistry with every single person that she seems to be in character with on the show. And her and Stefan being together doesn't hurt my feelings in any way. And I think that they both have gradually gotten to this point where these two feel like, yes, it would make sense for them to be together right now. It doesn't seem forced. It doesn't seem overly manipulated for it to happen. My only problem is that I hope that Saint Caroline doesn't get into the middle of it, because we all know that the writers love Caroline and she's pretty much been with every dude on the show except for Stefan. So I'm hoping that, they had been already leaning towards them having this friendship. And I'm hoping that that is not going to now become an issue with these two, because Caroline needs to find her own man. Yes, I know she was into Jesse and I kind of liked him. And then Elena killed him. But, that doesn't mean that she needs to now move her way over to this too. Okay, so that brings me to the other storyline that was going on this week, and that was, of course, Damon trapped in a cell and Elena alongside with him. And how did she get there? Well, Professor West stabbed her with vervain when she went to visit Aaron, and she found out that Aaron is a Whitmore. And in that moment, she sees this picture of her dad, and he is in it. This is, I guess, her adoptive father. And he was in this photo, so it looks like he was part of this Augustine group. And right as she realizes, Wes stabs her with some vervain and throws her in the cell, and now she's beside Damon. And we, of course, get the story of what happened to Damon all these years ago when he was basically a lab rat, a test subject for this Augustine group, this, secret society that was doing all these experiments. And once, of course, they knew that Damon was a vampire, they were doing all of these crazy things to him. And this guy who was trapped beside him named Enzo. And apparently Enzo had been there for 10 years before him, and Damon just got there. So he was pretty much his, I guess, best friend while he was down there. And he was the one person that kind of kept him alive and helped him through the madness. Now, of course, we find out that once a year they would take the two of them upstairs and show them off into this Augustine group. And, they would wound these guys, the people that were all part of this Augustine group, and show them what the vampire vampire blood could do for them, which was heal them. And of course, Enzo then comes up with a plan that, next year we're going to make one of us strong enough that we can break free of this craziness. So we're going to we're going to give the rations to the other person and blah, blah, blah. Fine, it works. Damon gets out. He kills everybody in the room. And unfortunately, he has to watch his friend Enzo die in a house that is up in flames. And he can't save him because the cell that he's trapped in is full of vervain and he can't get away and blah, blah, blah. So Damon shuts off his humanity and he runs out and leaves his friend Enzo, who basically kept him alive for 5 years and helped him escape. Now, the problem I have with this is, one, in the last 5 seasons of the show, we've never heard about this, ever. Okay, fine. Then apparently Damon has been holding on to this grudge all these years, and he's been laying out this plan that he wanted to kill every Whitmore except for one, and have that person go off, have a family, and then come back and kill all of them again and leave one person. So Aaron, I guess, is the sole survivor of this Whitmore family, and I guess right at the beginning of summer, he killed his aunt. Damon killed his aunt, which then allowed Aaron to inherit the Whitmore family and fortune and now owns the school, the university, and that is why Professor West is his guardian. Really? Is this where we're going with this storyline? I mean, Augustine has just been replaced by Silas, who was replaced by Klaus, who was replaced by Katherine years ago. I mean, it's just, I don't know, guys, if I can get behind this storyline. I thought the whole episode was very predictable last night. I wasn't very invested in this Damon storyline, him being the test subject. Yeah, okay, the doctor was cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. I mean, like the original Dr. Whitmore, he was crazy and doing all those experiments on him. But I mean, I don't know if this means that I'm co-signing this storyline. I just find it a little dull, a little boring. Now when I guess Aaron confronted Damon and Elena down in the cells, he shoots Damon in the head. When Damon wakes up, Elena's gone. When the next time we see Elena, she's strapped to a bed. And who is she next to? Enzo. So Enzo didn't really die all those years ago. So are we to assume that now he's been plotting revenge against Damon this entire time? I don't know, guys. I just don't know. We didn't have any Bonnie. We didn't have any Jeremy. The show is what it is. I watch it just because I've invested in 5 seasons, but I don't know how much longer I can stay. That's it, guys. That's really all I got. You tell me if you loved this episode and I just didn't see something. This show has been hit and miss for me for the last season and a half. So, maybe I'm coming at it from a wrong direction. Let me know. But at this point, I find that I don't really have much to root for. I mean, I did like the Stefan and Katherine stuff in this episode, but that's about it. All right, guys, that's it for me. I'll see you next week.